Question number 1 says, "Hi, Katie, I'm 13 and I struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. I also have had attempts, as well as anxiety, disordered eating, and self-harm. I'm currently in a program to help me get better coping skills recommended by my therapist. Love it. And I'm pretty open about it and have told most of my friends. I have this one friend who is very open about her struggles with me. And last night she called me crying, saying she wanted to commit suicide and was trying to tell another friend about it, but instead sent it into a group chat with a bunch of kids that we both know. Oh. I was able to calm her down and she was safe, but it made it really hard for me because it triggers suicidal thoughts and I don't know how to help her. I've talked with other friends of hers that she talked about it and our youth pastor, and I really want to help, but I will put myself in a worse position than I already am. I don't know how to set boundaries with her though, because if I do, she'll get very angry at me and might even end our friendship or take it as I don't love her and actually hate her life. Ooh. Sorry if this is confusing or doesn't make sense. Also, love your videos and thank you for all of the work you do. Of course, happy to help. There's a lot to unpack here, okay? And I understand that you're 13 and know that I'm 41, so it's coming from my perspective, and you'll understand why I'm saying that as we get into this. Now, first of all, when it comes to navigating these situations, I'm glad you were there for her. You were able to calm her down. You were able to kind of talk her out of it and help her feel better. That's awesome. She's so lucky to have you. But the fact that you're afraid to set boundaries with her and think that she'll get angry and might end your friendship, again, I know you're 13, I'm 41, and just trust me when I tell you, you don't need a friend like that. And I'm not saying this because she's not having a tough time or that things aren't hard for her, that she doesn't need friends. But if someone in our life is going to get angry and might end the friendship if we set boundaries, let them do that. Boundaries are important. Again, boundaries are not like limits I'm putting between us, like a wall where you can't get to me and I can't get to you. Boundaries are, these are the spaces in which I can love myself and you at the same time. And those are really important and really healthy for us in general. And relationships, like true relationships, can't thrive without them. Okay. And that's why I really encourage you to set boundaries anyways. And I'm going to explain to you kind of how to do that. And then most importantly, I think, is how to mitigate your own guilt or upset when you do it. The first step when setting boundaries is to figure out what we are okay with and not okay with. And in your case, it sounds like you're fine being supportive and being there for her. But when it comes to things you also are struggling with, especially suicidality, we can't. So that's a limit. So when it comes to getting support for suicidal thoughts, we can't be that friend. And that's not bad. We don't need to like shame ourselves about it or guilt ourselves about it. That really just means that that's where you're at and you aren't able to offer that support yet. Maybe at another point we will be, but we are not able to do that right now. Okay. And so when it comes to things about suicide, the boundary is going to be that we either tell her, have her talk to somebody else or encourage another friend to offer that support, or tell her, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. This is triggering for me as well, as I struggle too. I wish I could, however, talk to so-and-so. We can do the hug and roll technique where we say, you know what, I appreciate you so much. I love having you as a friend. However, we roll away. When it comes to, things about suicide, since I'm having my own tough time, I really can't offer support. And so that's really the boundary. As far as, I'm sure there's other things as well. But as I look through your question, it sounds like she's, really struggling with suicidal thoughts, and those are super triggering for you. And I'm proud of you for recognizing this, because you can't light yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, right? And so if it's something you struggle with, you don't have enough space between you and that thing in order to offer that help. Does that make sense? And so that's really the boundary. And so you can communicate this to her directly. And just say something like, I really appreciate you and our friendship, but unfortunately, when it comes to the suicidal stuff, because I'm having a hard time too, I'm not going to be much help. You can even phrase it that way. I'm not going to be much support. Or, Sarah or Julie would be better to talk to. I'm making up names, but you get the gist. Some of our other friends would be better suited to help you. We can say it that way. Or the boundary can be like not communicated, where if she sends it into the group chat, we don't respond. We aren't the one that offers help, right? We could say, I'm so sorry you're going through that. And that's it. Those are the boundaries. And again, if we do this, which I really encourage you to, If we set these boundaries, either communicated or through, the inaction, the boundaries are set. If she gets angry, that's not on you. That's on her. Again, boundaries are not bad things. And the funny thing about them in general, and I just want everybody to hear this, the funny thing about boundaries is that in the relationships where you really don't even need to set them, they will act like they're no big deal in your healthy relationships. It's like in those friendships that are already fine. If you said like, I'm not going to be able to take your calls after 11 o'clock or something because I've been really having a hard time getting sleep. Your friends that are loving and respectful are going to be like, why would I call you after 11? You're not even going to need to say that. They're not going to overstep, or they'll say, oh my God, I know I called you the other night really late. It won't happen again. I totally understand. It'll be no big deal. But the people who push back, who get angry, who lash out, those are the ones who you need the boundaries with the most. And it's almost like ironic, but it just speaks to itself, right? It's like they're revealing themselves, that they don't have respect for other people and other people's limits, and they just think they can do whatever they want, whenever and wherever. And those are going to be the relationships where we need the most boundaries, and we have to be super firm. And so all in all, I know you probably feel like, Katie, it's really complicated. Yes, there's a lot to unpack. However, the main crux here is that in certain situations, when it's things that you're struggling with, if it was, self-injury or disordered eating or the suicide attempts, if there's anything like that, it might be too close for you to be able to offer that support. And that doesn't make you a bad friend. And that doesn't mean that you're not trying to be supportive. We all just have limitations. Even as a therapist, there are certain things I don't treat because I either have had someone in my life that's too close to me struggling with it, I struggle with it, or I'm not a specialist. Like I don't know enough about it. Like you guys have heard me talk about autism. I'm not a specialist in that. So I usually refer out because you can get better treatment. In that same way, when it comes to friendships, there's going to be like things that I can help with and things that I can't. That doesn't make you a bad friend. That makes you an honest person. And so that's really what I want to encourage you to do in this friendship. And you said it's not that you don't love her. So communicate that to her. Let her know that you really appreciate her friendship. You just can't help with that. Okay. And that's very normal. And that's just part of life. And as we grow up, we gain and lose friends accordingly. And if this friend can't hang with any kind of healthy boundaries, then it's possible that they won't be a long-term friend of yours, because they don't know how to have healthy boundaries between them and other people. And that's going to not be good for you or them. And that friendship may just fade away. But for now, let's do our best to hug and roll and set those boundaries. Okay.